Hey everybody, Socket Man here. Just thought I'd give you a overview update of the teardown process on the 1970 Royal Enfield. This is what happens when you take a couple of blokes and one innocent little set of Whitworth wrenches and, well, the occasional hammer and screwdriver here and there, and turn them loose on what was a somewhat complete motorcycle, and this is what you end up with. A big pile of garage parts strewn all over the place. Anyway, here's the brief tour. As I mentioned before, Dave had taken a number of the easily removable parts off inside. The only one he didn't do that we all wish that he did was the gas tank, but we'll deal with that. You got the original battery, the original toolkit, which I didn't have opened up in the last one, but we've got some wrenches, a special removal tool for the points, some tire irons, screwdriver, all in the leather case, which is now quite dried up. So I'll keep that as a museum piece, and it won't be going back onto the bike. Has a spare Lucas headlight, which is great, and then the main one itself, which was brought inside, is in good shape. We've got the Tack and the Speedo, the clocks. They are going to need a rebuild. We're wondering how dry things are. The O-ring seals that are in here are very dried out and cracked. We're thinking we'll need to find some place to rebuild those. They have to take the ring off the outside, which destroys the ring, and then the assembly itself comes out through the front. They do the recondition, and then they put a brand new ring back on. That's not something I'm going to tackle here in my workshop. So tail light's perfect condition. Most of the handles, throttle assembly, clutch, cable, levers were all brought in. Obviously the gear shifter, and actually the gear shifter and the kickstarter were brought in afterwards, but they were already showing some age. They'll need to be re-chromed. We've got the heads off. They'll need a complete bead blast. I'll do that here. One of my delayed Christmas presents is a sandblaster, so I'll bead blast them all up, do some polishing. Everything's in pretty good shape. Oh, they're built like a friggin' tank, but we'll take all the valves out, clean them all up. As we mentioned earlier, Dave had already done had dropped a valve at least on one side. There's the old valves there. Not dropped a valve, the valve seat went out of it. So he replaced valves and guides, etc. What else? We've got some miscellaneous Lucas parts. The Prince of Darkness, you always have to have spares. The airbox, which was taken off quite early on. It was very difficult to work on the carbs. It wasn't an easy off for the airbox that's underneath here. This is a shield. So there's the airbox, and you can see the filter in the end. Dave had that off the bike fairly quickly, replaced it with just a couple of velocity stacks. Not necessarily great for filtering, but sounded good, looked good. That was one of the hot mods back in the 70s to make your bike look cool. The entire wiring, harness, and electrical assembly is there, so I'll take that apart bit by bit, test the capacitors and various other things, recondition. Not sure how I'm going to tackle a wiring harness just yet, whether I want it new stem to stern for reliability, or go over everything and tidy up the joints as best I can, maybe for originality in the wiring harness. Cables will all be replaced. All these parts, we've had some challenges getting the fork tubes out, but these are the fork tube covers. The rear subframe for the seat handlebars, obviously. This is the inside of the primary case cover, so that came off fairly well. Great big O-ring goes around there. More cylinder heads. Exhaust system was off. We're going to start stem to stern and exhaust system. There are holes in there. The front fender we want to get re-chromed, but there's going to be some rivets that are going to have to be dealt with. The band that is on the side there that you can see is riveted on. That'll be a challenge to get all the fluids out during the chroming process, so we may have to drill those out, do them separately, and then find some place that can do some nice big aluminum riveting for us. The frame is here and off. The engine is part of the frame, so it does not completely go around. It's integral. Frame bolts to the engine basically down at the bottom. Over here we've got our box of various parts and all the stuff that came off. It's all been bagged up. Everything will have to be cleaned, painted, chromed, cadmium plated, or just polished. So the inside brakes of the front brake, pretty straightforward. A number of the engine parts that we got together.